Buying or selling your residential or commercial property starts with one. C21 Durden Cornegay Realty, located at 1700 Veterans Boulevard in Dublin, and available anytime by calling 272-1535 or logging on to c21dublin.com. Integrity, honesty, accountability. There's only one. C21 Durden Cornegay Realty, broker George Durden.
I want to welcome everybody today. I'm glad to have with me two people I actually got to meet a couple weeks ago, Katrina Baranko and Dewey Smith. They are from Albany, Georgia, and when you came in my office a few weeks ago, you got me excited quick because you want to start a Kiwanis club here in Dublin and Lawrence County. So I think that's wonderful because Kiwanis clubs, Kiwanis International has a great reputation, the things y'all do, but I want to welcome y'all to Dublin, and I appreciate you taking the time to come talk to me today.
Thank you. We appreciate you having us.
Katrina, how long have you been a Kiwanis?
Been a Kiwanis 25 years.
25 years. What have you learned in the last 25 years? What characteristics can you bring out of being a Kiwanis?
Well, I mean, one of the things is the leadership, that we have a lot of leadership training, but of course we're about children, so you know it's the service and giving back to the community, and that's really what hooked me. But I've enjoyed the leadership positions and those things. So yeah.
And tell me about your family. You got children?
I do. I have one son, and then of course he has my heart, my grandson. So
hey.
yeah,
we could do 2 or 3 shows on grandchildren.
Exactly. So
I just left one of my grandchildren at home. It was hard to come do this interview today. I had to leave my grandson to come and do this.
That would have been an excuse. We would have understood that excuse.
I know you would have understood,
exactly.
wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Well, that's good. Yeah, grandchildren are just, I was reading my Bible the other day, and Scripture even tells us God gives us them grandchildren for our glory days, which I think our older days are those days that we can enjoy those grandchildren. Yeah. So, Dewey, how long have you been a Kiwanis?
31 years.
Wow, 31 years.
Yeah.
So tell me about your family.
Well, I have, of course, a wife and 2 boys, and they each have 2 kids, and they all live in Albany, so
Great.
we get to see them quite often, and have 4 grandkids that we see quite often. So
that's good to live close like that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And we pick them up from school and go to all the ball games and the soccer games. So I'm getting used to kids.
Hey,
yeah.
There's nothing like that,
yeah.
you know, and there's nothing. I missed being at a function last week, and somebody asked me the next day, said, "We missed you at the meeting last night." I said, "Well, Caleb, one of my grandchildren, had a football game that night," and I said, and they said, "Oh yeah, I know. They know me good enough. That comes first."
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
And that's got to be a joy to be in Kiwanis, and you touched on it a minute ago, but the work y'all do for children, because we know there's something wrong with you if you don't love children anyway,
exactly.
Whether you got grandchildren or not, you know. I can tell just by talking to y'all in the past and today, you love kids, whether it's your kids or somebody else's kids, and the work y'all do, y'all's combined years is about 60 years with Kiwanis. Katrina, tell me about the chapter in Albany.
Well, we actually have 4 Kiwanis clubs in Albany.
Wow.
And so our club is actually the oldest club in Albany, and so the others kind of spun off from us and then from them. And so we do a lot of service with kids. And I'm going to let Dewey talk in a minute because he really, that was his brainchild, and we did a function called I Can Bike last summer, and so it was one of the most rewarding things. That we had a guy at the club yesterday that was talking about that, and he said that's probably one of the most rewarding experiences he had ever had with children. And so we had a camp where kids that were challenged were able to learn to ride a bike. And he's got a great story with that too. So, but we do other things. I mean, we are actually having a pancake run to raise money so that we can give back to the community. And we read in the schools, and we have another club in Albany that does backpack blessings, which is one of my favorite projects that they do. We have a lot of kids that only get to eat during the week. When they go home, there's no food. So they pack their little bags and they have food all weekend. So, you know, it's just, and it has grown. They started off when they could only do 10 bags, 10 children, and now I think they're up into the hundreds. Every year they get more and more sponsors just because, you know, you're right, it touches people's heart when their children out there hungry. And, you know, so, yeah.
We take so much for granted.
We do. We really do.
And I tell you, I can't imagine anybody going hungry, much less a child.
Exactly.
And I believe us and anybody watching us right now would say they'd go hungry before they want a child to go hungry.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
But, well, I got to hear about this bike thing last summer, the bike project. So tell me about that, Dewey.
Okay. I have a group foundation that comes in and trains challenged kids how to ride a bike. I mean, Down syndrome and so forth that have never been on a bike. And they bring all the training bikes and everything in, and for 5 days they come to a place and they're trained first of all on a kind of like a tricycle, but the back wheel looks like a rolling pin. There's a little hump in the middle, so they learn the balance. And they ride around the gym. They do this for about 2.5 days. And then the last 2 days they transition into the two-wheel. And that's good, that's the mechanics of it. But to sit back and watch them ride around and their parents don't get involved, they're sitting up in the bleachers in the gym, and the kid will wave to him, you know, and he is so, or she is so excited about, and the tears are coming out of the mother's eyes, and lo and behold, by the end of the week, about 75% can actually ride a two-wheel bike. And you know, I can keep up with them in the gym on the little tricycle thing.
Yeah.
Other ones, I got to get somebody else, because when you put a kid on a bike, he's gone.
Yeah.
And but it's about I don't know, 6 to 8 months later, I'm in a business. I was talking to a fellow that called in, and he asked me, he said, "Are you Dewey Smith?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "You with Kiwanis?" I said, "Yes, I am." My kid learned how to ride a bike, and he was emotional. And he said, it rains and he can't get out and ride his bike, he gets mad. And some of the challenged kids, that their emotion gets, you know, if they can't get something done, they get a little angry. And he said it's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
That's wonderful.
And all because of Kiwanis.
And
I never would have done that.
And I bet the parents aren't the only one with tears in their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
you bet on that.
That's when teared up at the awards day.
Yeah, I know. There's some Kiwanis with tears in their eyes, because tears of joy.
Exactly.
Oh, it is. It's phenomenal.
But to watch, and I know we can, and I can. I remember when I learned how to ride a bike, my dad going out and teaching me, and I'm sure we all could tell a similar story. But kids with special needs or Down syndrome or autistic, or it's a little different. It's a little more challenging. But we have a neighbor with an autistic child, and he's got a project going now. And she came over to the house yesterday. We raised ducks, and he needed some duck feathers. And my wife goes out, and she's getting these black duck feathers, white duck feathers, and this child, it was just, it was everything to it, you know. Right. And watching her with him, and my wife and him, and and we all know the time you spend in the life of a child is never wasted.
Exactly.
Never wasted.
And that's got to be the fun part of being in Kiwanis. And you just hit on it a minute ago, Dewey, all because of Kiwanis. Yeah. You know, talking about these kids.
Yep.
That's right. And it's not about any individual or one person, even though it takes a lot of y'all to pull these things off, and it takes money.
Right.
You know, it takes money to do that, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. But well, let's take a commercial break, and I'm going to come back with Katrina and Dewey, and we're going to continue our conversation on Kiwanis, and we're going to talk about the exciting part of this we ain't even got to, is we want to start a club here, and we want you to be a part of it. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Legal matters require a highly qualified team to guide you through our complex legal system. Count on Smith Garner, with over 90 years of trial experience, representing you in personal injury, criminal, and divorce cases. Call 304-1451. Smith Garner. Real lawyers, real experience, real results.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm continuing my conversation with Katrina Baranko and Dewey Smith from one of the Kiwanis clubs in Albany.
That's right.
Not the Kiwanis club. That's wonderful. To live in a city like that with 4 different clubs. So, and all 4 clubs get together, and I'm sure y'all coordinate so you don't duplicate the same thing.
Right.
And you can spread out around Albany and do great things. But let's talk about Dublin and Orange County. You want to start a Kiwanis club here. Y'all have been out. I know some people you already talked to wanting to help start this club. Katrina, how many people does it take to actually start a club here?
We need 15 to actually organize, and of course once we have the 15 then they will grow themselves.
That's right.
But we need 15 to actually start. So we're getting close, but we sure could use some more people. So. And
that's what we're here today. That's our main. We've been talking about other things because I want you to know about Kiwanis if you've never heard about them. I've known about Kiwanis my whole life and the reputation, and we want you to get involved. Now, Dewey, who can get involved? Can anybody join Kiwanis? I mean, tell me about the membership.
Well, you have to be 18 years of age, but anybody then can join. You would go to the local club and you actually fill out an application. The club actually votes on you, and then you're a member. It is a dues type of thing, but the dues are minor, and that's all it is to it. And then we expect you know, people to participate in functions like the I Can Bike or whatever the function may be. We ring the bell for the Salvation Army. Well, that doesn't take much, but it's a good function, and it does help them do something. So, and that's all it is to it.
How often do you meet?
That is up to the club. That this new club, they have a choice. They can meet every week. They can meet every other week. They can meet at least. We have to meet at least once a month. They can have lunch. They don't have to have lunch. So, as a charter member, you make the decision where that club is going to go. And we're finding out that a lot of younger people are joining that maybe is just starting a family, or just gotten married, or maybe even single, whatever. It doesn't make any. And they meet whenever. And, I've seen them meet at just a local restaurant. Yeah. Everybody buys their food if they want one. They gather around and then make decisions. They have a board of directors.
So the charter members, you make decisions. That's why it's important to get involved early and be a charter member. Yep. So you can set some of the rules, and like you said, if you want to have a breakfast Kiwanis club, or an evening or a lunchtime or whatever, it'd be up to them. But the main thing, we want to get it started here. Katrina, I got to know, why Dublin? I mean, was y'all sitting around one day and said, we need to go to Dublin, start a Kiwanis club? I got to know.
You know, part of the reason really is we feel like this is a community is ready. We had a Kiwanis club here at one time, and they actually sponsored the Swainsboro Club.
Okay.
And so Swainsboro in the last couple of years has said, we want to pay back. We want to get Dublin's club back up and rolling because they sponsored us, so we want to return that favor. So they will be the sponsoring club, and 2 of those members will be dual members, not to tell the club what to do, but just to be there as guide that first year at least. And but you know, we do look into the communities, and we don't have a key club in this community, and that's our high school club, and it's actually the largest youth-led program in the world. And it's part of our Kiwanis family. And so we have other programs from elementary all the way through college, but in order to have those programs, we need that local club. So we just felt like this community is you know, they do give a lot, and they are a giving community, and we've seen that as we have gone out and talked to people. So they've been very receptive and very positive. So. And
you already got some people. And let's throw Raj's name out there, Raj Saxeni. I've had him on from time to time, a dear friend of mine, and he is one of the owners out at the new Marriott out at 441 and I-16. So we got Raj in early, which you got a great member there, and I know you've got other people that you're talking to. We talked about money, and there's dues for everything, and they're minor, like you said. But let's talk about money a minute, because it takes money to do the bike things or the backpacks, right, or the many things you want to do. But if somebody's watching now and they say, well, I'm already a member of Rotary Club or this club or whatever, but man, I really want a Kiwanis club here, I think it'd be great. And is there other ways to help get this going financially or whatever without being a member?
Well, obviously you can contribute to Kiwanis, even through Kiwanis Foundation at our home office, or the club, when it gets formed, can take donations. But the most of the clubs will go out and do another project. For instance, in a week and a half, we have a 5K run. We serve pancakes after it because you got room for them then. Oh, yeah. And
me and you probably eat before.
That's right. We eat before. Yeah. But
and I'm not even going to run. I'm just going to eat pancakes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with you.
But we'll raise, you know, a couple of $1,000s on that day, which we then can put in the bank to be able to get it out when we get ready to get the I Can Bike, which will be next summer after school is out. So we do fundraisings to further the people out there in the community that things they need. And we do have to have money, but you wouldn't have to join, but we would rather have you join and then help out. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and one thing they can do, I mean, people are busy, but we have a corporate membership for clubs. So, you know, it's nice, a lot of companies, if they're represented in, you know, different ones, it can be a different person. So the corporate membership, they would have a member of their staff, you know, as that person, but anyone from that company could go, and or they can change that out. So, you know, if a corporate membership would be great, it would say we support this Kiwanis Club, and hopefully they would have someone in their business that would have some time to, if nothing but to do service projects, right, or help with service.
Great idea, yeah. And does this money raised, does it all stay in the community?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything they raise, and if they raise it through the community, then it goes back to the community. It can only be spent back into the community.
We can't use it for dues or,
right,
or anything else. It has to go back.
But it does all stay here in this community.
I went on the website. Matter of fact, y'all left me a couple of brochures when you were here a few weeks ago, and I read through them. But and I know there is a website that you can get gobs of information.
You got a couple of days, right?
Yeah, more than you ever need. But there's so many good things, and it all comes back to children. You know, everything that I read about Kiwanis, it just circles right back to children and investing in children. And it's so important. I was in a meeting the other day. One of the superintendents told us, and you probably know the same number, but the way the state of Georgia predicts how many beds in prison they need is on third grade reading.
Exactly.
So if you're not up to par in the third grade, they pretty well know the numbers of how many prison beds they're going to need.
That's amazing.
But you know, it is amazing. But you dig down deeper, and that should stress to us how important it is for Kiwanis and me, everybody else, non-Kiwanis, to get involved with these children and to teach them and read to these children. Y'all talked about grandkids, and I know I'm sure y'all do. I love to read to my grandchildren, and they love, even before they're old enough to talk.
Oh yeah.
Read to them kids and getting them up to par, because we don't want to build more prisons. I mean, we want these children to be productive, and I could just see your face a while ago, Dewey, when you talked about the first day on the bike, second day, and going around that gym, and then by the third or fourth day, they're riding that bike, and just the joy on their face, and I could tell the look on your face, you know, how much joy it brings to you by seeing this live in this child just evolve into, I can do this. And that reflects anything else, don't it? Once you know I can do this, and it gives you confidence, and that's what Kiwanis is, isn't it?
Yep, and we have a elementary program called K-Kids. It's a club. And you know, if we can start them early, where in the K-Kids teaches leadership and servant hearts, and it's because at that age we started one in Albany at a school, and so I went in the first day and I told them about the officers, and so 4 or 5 of them want to be the president, you know, and I'm like, why can't we adults, you know? But yeah, they were excited, and they came up with their own little project that they were going to do, and so, you know, if we can start them early and start, as you said, start teaching them the give back and the leadership skills, and you know, I think he'll go through life with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the programs that we have is called BUGS, Bring Up Grades. And you can go from a D to a C or whatever it is, and about every quarter of the Kiwanis clubs, they come in and give them an award or a ribbon and have pizza, and the teachers recognize their increase in the grade. It doesn't have to be B to A. It can be anything.
Everybody's not an A student.
Right.
But it teaches them, hey, there's a good reason to go out and
do your
study.
best.
Yep.
Yeah, do your
so
best.
It's a real inspiring for the younger kids.
Yeah, what a great program. And go back, Katrina, talk a little bit more about, because reading to children is just a passion of mine. You talked about y'all go into schools. Talk about that a little bit more.
Well, we, you know, we go in and we actually pick a book a lot of times. And we had a Kiwanian, and he's no longer with us. He's passed away, but he always did the hat, the Dr. Zeus hats, and and the kids loved him. And Dewey will tell a story. I'll tell it for him. But anyway, he talks about when he goes and they're way out there, and by the time he finished reading, they were up. You know,
scrunch up.
Yeah, I tell you, you know. So I mean, it's a joy because I was an educator and I taught high school, but even then, which is a little bit different. But I would tell these kids things, and I'd bring in a business person, and they leave and they go, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "I told y'all that." But sometimes they see that teacher so much to have someone outside come in and read, it makes a huge difference to them.
Absolutely. I love Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
My favorite book is Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah, me too.
I love, and that's usually the book I read when I read to kids, but because I can pretty well have to read it, you know. It's, and plus that book teaches them, it teaches me, it teaches grown people. The lesson in Green Eggs and Ham is you just never give up, because he never would eat it, and lo and behold, before the end of the book, he loved green eggs and ham. You know, so it does. It teaches you not to give up in life, because things aren't easy sometimes. Things are difficult in life, and you being an educator, you've seen that. So, well, that is wonderful. We got to take another commercial break, but we want to come back and wrap things up in just a minute. But we really want to get this Kiwanis Club started here in Dublin, and I know you're spending a lot of time, and anybody drives from Albany, as you said, Albany.
Albany, that's right.
But however you want to pronounce it, we're glad they're here and helping us here in town start this club. Y'all stay with us. We'll be back and wrap things up in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Debra Rogers. My husband Jimmy Rogers is running for County Commissioner of District 4 here in Lawrence County. Because Jimmy and I have been married for almost 42 years, I would venture to say that I probably know him better than anyone else. And I want you to know that he's open-minded, he's thoughtful, and he's a careful decision maker. Jimmy's a hard worker, and when he begins a task, he will see it through to successful completion. He genuinely cares about people, and he is consistent and fair in all of his relationships. He's very compassionate about the opportunity to serve Lawrence County as a commissioner, and he will do a good job to build a stronger Lawrence County for present and future generations. I'm asking you to go to the polls on November 6th and cast your vote to give Jimmy Rogers an opportunity to serve you.
Welcome back, everybody. I want to wrap things up. We're talking about starting a Kiwanis Club here in Dublin, Lawrence County. Katrina, somebody watching right now says, I want to be a Kiwanis. I want to be a charter member. How do they make contact with the right person?
Well, you're going to have a number on the screen that they can call, and we can kind of walk them through it, but it's pretty much just filling out the application. We'll answer any questions they might have, and as Dewey said, we're dues-based, and so you just pay that your yearly, and they're in, and they will be on at the beginning at the table to help make those decisions, what projects are needed here in Dublin, and they'll be part of the Kiwanis family, which I can tell them is a great feeling. So.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, Katrina and Dewey combined being with Kiwanis, about 60 years, and that's more than either one of y'all old. How about that? I'm telling you.
We wish.
You're supposed to just go along with that.
Oh yeah, I'm 39.
But Dewey, is there anything we hadn't touched on that we need to cover before we go?
I think we've covered most of it. I think if you're interested in helping the community and helping kids especially, there's a world of things you can do that'll give you as much pleasure as the child that it receives it. It is a heart-wrenching organization if you want it to be that way.
That's right.
And there's a lot of opportunities, and you'll feel better about it.
Absolutely. And we've touched on it a few times. If you love children and want to help children, this is the organization to be a part of, because
Absolutely.
that is the focus on any project that you do. And I'm thinking about the backpack project that the other club in Albany does. What a wonderful project, or the bike project, and each organization is different. You know, each community has different needs.
Correct.
So if you want to join that, the number's right there on the screen. Very easy. Just pick it up and call the number there, and we can give you all the information you need. And you can be a charter member. How about
Absolutely.
that? Isn't that great?
It is.
And think about
member. Not
years
many
from
people do
now
that.
when you can say, you know, this community is like it is because of Kiwanis, and I was there. I helped develop this, yeah.
And we do want to, before we go, we want to thank the Swainsboro Club. Katrina mentioned a few moments ago that the Dublin Club used to be here, helped start the Swainsboro Club, and now they want to turn around and pay it forward and get this club started back. And we want to thank those in Swainsboro. We know a lot of people watch us down in Emmanuel County, and we want to thank y'all. That's just a great deed in itself. But Katrina, Dewey, I really appreciate y'all taking the time. I know you're from out of town, you got things to do, but I really appreciate y'all sitting down, taking the time to talk with me.
Well, thank you.
for
We
your
appreciate
time.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sure do.
Thank you very much. Number's still on the screen. Pick up the phone and call, and be a charter member of Kiwanis. We really appreciate you joining us today.